Yep. And we are live. Get this. Sucks. I gotta do this audio like this, but we're just gonna have to. We're gonna have to roll with it. Let me see. Okay. All right. Well, we gonna roll like this. As y'all know, I'm your brother Mordeed. This is another brainwashed on heavy. We haven't did this in a while. Discussion is gonna get kind of woo woo, so I figured we'll bring it over to this platform so we can, get a little woo woo for everybody. But how's everybody doing? Everybody doing good? Everybody fine? Yeah.
Yes.
All right. There we go.
Yes. Bless.
Y'all sound like students in our classroom.
I got some feedback. So, today's show we're going to talk about, the return to royalty. And the reason why the show is titled that way is because I feel like personally, when I have these epiphanies, I create shows around them. And the narrative has always been that we as people of color have always been on this trajectory of destruction. There is no hope, and that's just the way it's going to be. I beg to differ. And we're going to have a discussion on our trajectory from what I call the NIGGAH mind back to a godlike mind. And that is seldom talked about because, like I said, most people of color have the same conversation of we damage goods, and that's just the way it is. And that's solely not true based on historical writings and things that have been put forth for our story. So that's the title. The title is The Return to Royalty. If you look at the marquee, I actually have some pictures of some goddesses, and I got a clip of Old Dog from Menace to Society, and what's the clown-like dude with all the rainbow teeth, the rapper, looking crazy. And the reason why I chose the pictures is because it's just showing our mindset at some point in our evolution, which I classify as really degraded, and us going forward and shedding all of that and getting back to a more illuminated way of thinking. So that's why I titled it Back to Royalty. So we're going to get into that. I'm going to go ahead and roll the intro credits, and I'll see y'all on the other side. right, we're back. Give me 1 second. I think I might have figured this thing out. Let me see here. But yeah, I'm gonna start with Tasha, and I'm gonna ask the panel a question, but I'm gonna start with Tasha. So my question I'm gonna pose to the panel today, starting off, because I've heard this conversation over and over again. I hear it in barbershops. I hear it all the time that we as people of color, we are a lost cause. Um, it would never really work out for us. This concept that we have of us all coming together and people of color just getting away from thinking like Negroes to back to thinking more or less along the lines of having a level of righteousness about themselves. Um, what do you think that we're a lost cause, or do you think we're on a trajectory of moving towards something that's great, and a lot of people just don't understand it because they're not a part of that chosen group? What do you think? Start with Tasha.
um, that's tough. I don't, I don't, I don't think we're a lost cause. I think it's going to be a long, long fight to get to a place of balance. But there are, I think, at this point right now, yes, there are people. Those who don't see the final outcome are not in that light yet. You know, we still have a lot of work to do because it's only the beginning of the change, if that makes sense. Because right now, a lot more people are being open to so many different things and so many different perspectives of life, and really seeing life and the world and the ways of the world as it truly is. The veil is being lifted for a lot of people. Um, whether being with the help of social media, um, or just things in general. But in order for it to change, we got to start within. And we got a lot of hate for ourselves internally, Black people in general. We gotta before there can be any change, we gotta work within, and that in itself is going to be a hard struggle. I feel like I'm going around and around, and I'm not making a point that I'm trying to make because there's so many different aspects of it. But the general answer to your question, yes, there can be change. It's going to be a long process to get there. So the question is, how do you start?
What if we already started?
Well, we started. We did. It has started, right? But
What if it started when we actually fell? As soon as we fell, what if the process of us getting back to that beginning point, that starting point, what if that was the starting point? Once we fell, now we're moving in the direction of getting back. But to get back, we got to travel this path that seems like it's never ending. Because I think when most people of color have the discussion of how would we fare in getting back to where we need to be, they only think about it in their lifetime, what they've seen, what they've experienced. When you study and you read and you do some scholarly work, you have a broader sense of time when it comes to reading books that are talking about things that happened in ancient times. So when you start having an ancient perspective on time up to now, we're talking thousands of years. We ain't getting into the millions, but just the thousands. So when people say it's going to take a long time,
because
I haven't personally, as Andre, I haven't lived 1,000 years. So when I ask that question, are we? Go ahead.
I'm sorry. No, never mind. It's about, I guess.
So what I'm saying is, when people say it's going to take a long time, it's like we've only been in this particular life X amount of years, versus our history goes back. So when people say it's going to take a long time, what's a long time to the person having a conversation? Make sense?
Gotcha. I gotcha.
It makes sense, but I think when I look at it, I look at it from the amount of time that I've been here and from what I've seen, like, you know, and I think like we've come quite a bit of ways. Like, I don't think it's going to be as long as people think, you know what I mean? Like, and also I think what probably affects your view on certain things is what you're actually seeing regularly. Like, because I feel like we've come such a long way and that we are on the path because, you know, like when I look at my social media and I look at certain things or whatever have you, I'm seeing like successful Black folks doing stuff, you know, certain teachings happening, certain, you know, like just different level of things that, you know, we should have actually been on. Opposed to maybe other people. You know what I'm saying? Like, does that make sense what I'm saying? Yes? No?
Yeah. I think most of the time when we
The
have
better-
this discussion of what we should be doing, it's from a limited perspective of our own lives and what we've seen. Like people say, do you think police officers would ever, you know, not fuck with Black people the way they do? And the common response is, well, no, that's always going to be a thing, you know? In reality, it can't always be a thing because it always wasn't a thing. Make sense?
Yeah.
How could it always be something when it wasn't always something? Because police officers in the policing thing had a birth date when it came into existence. Prior to that, there were no police officers. So we didn't have that thing in place to be a thing. So when people say, well, I don't ever see it changing, if it has a birth date, it has a death date. If that makes sense.
What does Pot think? Look at Pot. I'm dying to know.
I think he might need to go out and come back in so he don't echo. But I do want to hear what he got to say. So try that. I'm gonna unmute him and see what the deal. Let me see. Go ahead.
You want me to go in and out?
Go ahead and try it. Let me see if you don't echo. I hear the echo. Y'all hear it?
Yo.
Yeah, go back out and come back in. So Joe, do you think that in the end game, and when I say the end game, a lot of people kind of get confused with the fact that when you speak of the end of something, they typically think of like the end of the world and stuff like that. And I'm gonna pose the question to the panel, but in the end game, how do you think we fare as people of color? How do we fare in the end game? Where do you see us at on the chessboard?
I think we're on top. No ifs, ands, or buts. Like,
why?
Why?
Yes.
I think from my view and the trajectory of where things are going in comparison to where they were, it's quite, if you think about it and you look at certain things, like it's quite a difference. It's quite a difference. And we are, the more, I mean, they'll never make things fair or whatever have you, but we're infiltrating everything. Yeah, we're on top, period. I mean, I just feel like
in the end of this, you say we on top.
Yeah, that's for sure. There's in my mind, there is no ifs, ands, or buts. Like, it's like the way isn't like made for us. However, we make our own way. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, no ifs, ands, or buts. Like, regardless, we are getting there. So we'll be back to where we started.
Okay, so let me ask this question to you guys. If we get back to there, where is there?
Back to where we started.
And in the beginning, I'm just questioning your theory. In the beginning, where we started, what position did we hold? Like, where were we in the beginning
We were
of our
royalty.
splendor? Huh?
Before, because people tend to take history from slavery,
Right.
and it doesn't
We
start
stopped.
it doesn't start at slavery.
Right.
So we're going to be living our best lives. We're going to be quite wealthy. You know what I'm saying? Like, back to royalty. There's
Right.
no ifs, ands, or buts. It's going back to that. Whether they want it that way or not, it's going there. And you can see, and going back to what I was saying about social media and stuff like that, like the evidence of people learning financial stuff and whatever have you, like, and how they're starting to, if you look at families and stuff, the family structure, how the parents are starting to gear their children, you know what I'm saying, as far as financial literacy and certain things that, like, we didn't get growing up, you know what I mean?
Right.
You see those, like, you see, I don't care if it's only 20 people, you see the evidence. It has to start somewhere, and it started already. That movement has started, and it's going.
I was watching the movie with Eddie Murphy on Netflix with Laura London and
Oh, You People.
yeah, I think that's what it's called. Where
You
his
People.
daughter was marrying the Jewish guy, the white guy. And aside from the Hollywood aspect of the whole love thing, there's a lot of interesting nuggets in there that are dropped, and Eddie Murphy drops them here and there, that are points to think about. If you don't get caught up in the whole all aspect of it, of the whole love, and people should be able to love who they love, you gotta peep the agenda,
I
but you
need to
also
watch
gotta
that.
peep. You gotta peep some of the things that were said in the midst of them at odds about their different cultures, because they were Muslim and he was Jewish. So the dynamic was a little sketchy, but at the same time, they're always going to push, well, love conquers all. And from me watching this, I came to the conclusion, and I'm going to put this out there. I honestly wish, and this is just me, I honestly wish we lived in a world where we are just human beings. There's no, kind of like when you look at flowers, when you go to a garden, a botanical garden, you got all of these different flowers, and they're all different, but you love them all, and they're all plants, and you're not putting one plant over the other plant, and they all see themselves as plants. I wish we lived in a world where we were all human beings without the distinction of being different, other than if we went to another part of the planet, we knew we were going to meet other human beings that were us, but they might have been blue or shade purple. And when you were curious enough to want to see that, because you were in awe of another aspect of you looking different. I want to go to see the blue us, or I want to go see the brown us. Like, just loving the fact that there's a difference of beauty in one thing. Not that it's different, like we're Chinese and we're Jamaican and we're from, all these different geographical location areas where they name us based on where we're geographically located. It causes division. And I think that's one of the reasons why we can't really, as just people on planet Earth can't move forward because we don't see ourselves the same, no matter where you go. No matter how we package it up and say, if you go back to Africa, historically, they know and we know that we have a connection to the land and to the people. And there's a possible way that my genealogy probably came from the continent, because everybody melanated did not come from Africa. That's where life began. But everybody is not tied to the continent because we're all over the planet.
Right.
But that's a whole nother discussion when you want to condition a people to think that they're all from one place. Then that gives you a way of thinking that you have no ties to the land you're on right now. And that's the con job. If I can teach you from somewhere else, then the land I took from you that I'm residing in right now, you can never have dibs on it because you think you from somewhere else. That's the whole con thing. But I just wish we lived in a world where we were like plants. We were all plants, and there were yellow plants, and there were red plants, and there were blue plants, but we all seeing each other as the same. But if I wanted to go to another part of Earth to see me in blue, I will go and be in awe of blue. That's nice. I've never seen a blue me before, but we're the same. We don't have that awe when we meet each other. We have a conditioning of, kind of like when foreigners come here and they have this thing of the African American, what to look out for, what to stay away from. It's things like that that make a distinction between you and them. Or police officers, they make a distinction between their lives and yours, and which life is more important. And when you have a system like that, it's just bad.
I understand what you're saying, and it makes it makes sense what you're saying. I'm kind of separating.
Go ahead. And that's conditioning, but go ahead.
That's the conditioning. It is the conditioning. But everything you said, I wish that Black people were that way. It's separating what you said. It's going back. It's proving the point of what you were saying about, I'm so sorry.
The minute you say Black people, you've separated human beings from another portion of the humans on the earth.
I know.
That's
so
part of the challenge.
It goes totally against, like, opposite of what you're saying, but yeah.
Right.
Tasha,
what do you think?
I get it, and I think it would be nice. It really would be nice. But I think right now, like, I would love to see us like that.
Well, we could never go to what I just hoped. Reason being, and I'm going to save what I think is going to happen closer to the end of the show.
Okay, good.
Because, I'm going to save it to the end of the show because we live within a system. And no matter how much we want things to be a certain way, we still are within a system that is not by our design. So we can only operate within that as much as we can to prosper. But anyway, I'll save mine till the end. I want to ask you guys a question because I know I spoke of going from what I call the nigga mind, and we're slowly but surely moving towards something more divine in aspects of thinking and living and health and things like that. So you can actually see the evolution of where we're going. Now, so much bullshit thrown in there, it's hard for the average person to even pick that up because they don't have a really full macrocosmic picture of what's going on. They have a microcosmic picture of what's going on. So people really sometimes only judge life based on their immediate surroundings. They can't see past that. So if their immediate surroundings are fucked up and you ask them a question about people of color or the world, it's only going to go but so many blocks outside of what they relate to. They don't have a world view, let alone a cosmic view. So my question is, if we're going from having what they consider a degraded mind state, it didn't start that way in the beginning, but along our path, we kind of got really down in the mud, um, which I'll explain in the end why that was necessary. Um, as we get to the end of the cycle, and most people of color who you ask who are conscious, most of them, they're going to say, like Joe said, we win. We are on top. My question is, if we're on top, who's on the bottom? And what does the bottom look like for them or whomever? If we win in the end and we're on top, who's on the bottom and what does the bottom look like? We'll start with Tasha.
Damn. I was just trying to process the question. That's deep. And we're
Because
talking
a
about
lot of people put us on top. I mean, I get it. They say we win, we're on top. Now, top denotes a position. And if we're in a position of being on the top of something, something has to be on the bottom, like we have now. Somebody's on top now, and somebody's on the bottom now, and somebody's in the middle.
Will be last,
the middle
and
section.
the last will be first. I think the bottom is actually like.
What does that look like?
Damn.
Right, that's what I'm sitting here like.
I want to.
Yeah, what does that look like?
I don't want to say what I'm thinking.
Just say it. Just say it. Yeah, just say it. What does it look like? I mean, what? Police brutality on other people? Like what? What does it look like?
When let me first explain when I say we're on top. Like,
okay.
The clarification is what top? What's the difference?
Top.
Yeah.
On top meaning like you have a lot of positions or
And I should have asked you if we're on top. Okay, explain what the top looks like, because I got another question.
When I say on top, I mean like you have like positions, you have areas, you have like
what kind of positions and areas? Like what? Government? What? Life? Ownership? Business?
Us living more of an opulent, like us having more of an opulent lifestyle. You understand what I'm saying? Like where, or having more opportunities that aren't really like open to us. Like I don't even want to say open to us because
what?
A lot of opportunities that we are not, or positions that we are not in at the moment. I think it's going to be more, it will be more melanated, if that makes sense.
So
opposed to what it looks like now. I don't give a damn what I don't care if it's the White House or enterprises or whatever. I think most of those things are going to be more melanated, like where people of color are running shit.
Okay, so let me ask you this question. If that is true, and it's funny because when I was watching the show with Eddie Murphy, he goes into a restaurant and he sits down to talk to his son and his daughter. He's looking around the restaurant and he says, "Is it me or is everybody's hair in here is curly and wavy and everybody's looking everybody got good hair and everybody's starting to look brown, so to speak."
That too. I while I was saying it, I thought of that.
Now, even if you looked up and saw people of color in all positions of whatever, to you, does that mean that we're on top?
Damn, Dre.
What?
Right. That's right.
Does that mean we're on top because you can look around and just see us? Like when I first came to Atlanta, I've never been in a place where people of color were doing everything. Walk to the airport and everybody's black. People who's running your luggage, they're black. Ticket counter, black. All the restaurants, black. Everybody's black. What does that mean? Does that mean we're winning and we're on top? Does that mean that, Tasha?
When you put it that way, I would say no. I'm sorry, Tasha.
Huh?
No, I cut you off. I'm sorry.
No, I appreciate you. Thank you.
When you put it that way, I would say no, because I think being on top is more of a level of freedom. Like, you know,
we're just conformed to. We're still in control though.
Damn it,
like
Dre.
In control of what?
Not in control. We're still under control. Yeah, we're just filling positions.
Right, but we're still under control of what?
Under control?
Yeah, you said we're filling positions, but we're still under control.
Yeah,
Explain that.
I guess your example, right? You're in Atlanta, and I guess I was kind of like that the first time I went out there. Black people here, there. Okay, we're filling all these positions, but do we have really control of it? Because we're still answering to somebody.
Right.
We're still under the control of somebody. So what are we on top on? We still have to answer to somebody.
And those somebodies that we're answering to should be us.
Right, but it ain't us.
It will be us.
So I'm going back.
Us. There may be a few select, but those few select are still under the control of somebody else.
So I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna ask this question again. In the end, whatever that is, do we win? You guys unanimously said, yeah, we win. You know, we're gonna be on top.
But what's winning?
What is winning?
I think for winning for me is being free. Now, we as a people may not.
I'm glad you said that. Now I want you to explain what does free looks like, being free. In the end, if we win and we're free, according to Tasha's theory, we're free. What does free look like in the end if we win?
Once we are deprogrammed and stop believing in lies that have been fed to us about who we actually are or who we were. Once you know who you are, like really know who you are and what you came from, and you know what I mean, they can tell you anything, and yeah, they may have the power or whatever, but mental freedom.
So I think freedom would be like living, like freedom for me would be, I mean, maybe for some people, maybe not, but would be living a life that I want to live, not like struggling and not, like, but just living a life that you
make it to the best of your ability. Make your life to the best of your ability that you can with what you're given, but there's still some kind of control, right? So you have to be free on your own terms.
So technically,
sorry, Joe.
No. I mean that, it kind of, I just had a thought and I said in my mind, I'm like, but even if you're like, let's say you're like an entrepreneur or you're, a doctor or you're, I don't know, a store clerk. And I like, because if you run a business, there's a level of stuff that comes with that. Your doctor, there's a level of stuff that comes with that. But if these are your, I don't want to say choices, but if these are this is what you're doing and you're happy with doing or whatever the case is, I just think that that's just, you know what I mean? You wouldn't feel burdened, or I don't know how to explain it.
Wouldn't that be a level of complacency to a degree?
it is a level of complacency, but everybody's want in life is not the same, or everybody's, you
Okay.
know what I'm saying? Like, if everybody wants to be an entrepreneur, who the hell is going to be at the airport putting the luggage on the, you know what I'm saying? You get what I'm trying to say?
Okay, yeah, I get it. So are you explaining something from a few blocks down from where you are, or are you looking at a world view?
No, not a few blocks from, I mean, just everybody's thing is not the same. The whole
It,
world.
it, it's not. But when I pose the question and I say us, melanated people, I'm talking about us collectively.
Mhm.
Not if I choose to be a farmer, it's okay for me to be a farmer, and I'm content with being a farmer in my world. But my world does not dictate the collective.
Right.
Now, if I'm asking a question based on the
The
collective and
collective.
how the collective wins, and what does winning look like, and what does being on top look like for the collective, how does that look? Not, well, if you want to be a plumber, that's cool, that's fine, as long as you're content and you're making money. That's something that we would say today based on where we are within the system. We're having more opportunities and more things that we can do and make money and be prosperous. But how does that look on a macrocosmic scale when you look at people of color worldwide?
I think maybe
Did I
Dre,
mess
god
it
damn
up?
it. You
Did I mess it up?
I just said god damn it, like fuck. Maybe us having, regardless, we're on top. What does on top look like? Maybe it's us having more of a control of our family unit, like, just, I don't know.
I
I
think
don't know. I don't know. I really, I like, you putting it that way. Yeah. What does on top look like? I was saying, more of an opulent lifestyle, being in positions but those are still,
They're still in the control paradigm.
yeah, they still are. Like, so when you think about it, like, yeah, what is on top? So I might have to digress, but I think maybe on top being us.
Now let me now the questions that I've asked. Let's put it into spiritual perspective. How do we win? How does winning look spiritually and culturally on top? Not economically, not your status, not what you've acquired, not your tangibles, but spiritually. How do we win? Because I'm gonna save. I'm saving mine for
Save
the
it.
end.
Don't say it. I
I'm
think
not.
we win spiritually, like on a spiritual level, us going back to our roots of, like, healing, some of the rituals, things of those of those like that
back.
stuff. Tapping in, like, I think on a
What do you
spiritual
think,
level,
Tasha?
like,
I'm with Joe. Like that's what kind of what I said before. Once we go back and find out, remember who we are, who we were, well, you know what I mean? Well, who we are, not who we were, who we are, and get deprogrammed from all the stuff that they've told us who we were, what we are, and really get, and that's going back to digging into your ancestral traits, and going back to your solid roots. Um, we could be some powerful creatures. Maybe creatures is not the correct terminology, but once you know who you are, kind of like that Neo effect, if that makes sense. Once you realize who he was, you know what I mean? His power, he engulfed the power and became strong once he realized that he had this.
So
even
Unplug.
reading minds and stuff like that. Do you know, like, ages ago, like, the slaves would, like, they would say something or speak something, and
Mhm.
you know what I'm saying?
We all are. We all. It's just like that thing. Everybody is born with the gift, but somewhere along the line, we got disconnected for however reason. But we all have it. We all have
I think
something.
spiritually, on a spiritual level, I think that I wouldn't say that's everything, but that's like the meat and potatoes.
That's the meat and potatoes.
Hmm.
Okay.
I think on a spiritual level, I think that's the meat and potatoes. Like, now imagine if we started now, like, let's just say,
Started what now?
like, going back to like healing and tapping in and rituals and all of those things, and
What if we started already?
and teaching what if we started already? Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
But going into teaching the youth, like the younger children, you know what I'm saying? Like maybe Braylon's age, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, Braylon knows, like, if he has a boo-boo, come grandma will kiss it, and then he goes about his business and it's okay. Like, what if you start at his age, like just showing them like little things, and then that carries on. When he has children, guess what? Or when he has a wife, there might be things that he might teach her that, and then it kind of picks up. It is.
That's
I
part.
mean,
That's
it has
part of the
started.
evolution.
Yeah, it has started, but it's
It's what?
I don't
think
even know.
Okay, let me where we at? Yeah, by the time I go ahead and get into this bag, we'll be at the hour mark and we
Oh
can
my
kinda,
gosh.
wrap it up. Um when you look at time in most conversations that you have with people, they're speaking of immediate time. They're speaking in a reference of their existence, whether they be 20 years old, 40 years old, 50 years old, 60 years old. Most people speak within that time frame.
Yeah, that's true.
They're going to base their entire existence on that time frame. If you ask them anything about life, it's going to be based on that time frame. We have to keep in mind that we are fragmented. We are broken up in a lot of different pieces on a lot of different levels.
That's true.
So with the enlightened personality, which I consider us, we're supposed to have a holistic, in my opinion, a holistic approach to questions like this. Fragmented approaches to this typically gives us a egotistical, not in a bad way, but from our perspective. Let me take ego out. It'll give us a relative perspective on the question based on just how we see it personally. When you go back in time and you look at the things that transpired, you got to figure out that our ancestry calculated time in cycles, in great years. And a great year might consist of 30,000 years. And they might consider that 30,000 year cycle one tick on the clock. So that means in order for a particular star constellation to come around, take the Sphinx, for instance. It's called the Harakti. In order for our ancestors to build these monuments and for them to align properly with star constellations, that means they had to be observing these star constellations for thousands of years in order for the monument on Earth to be perfectly aligned with it. Because as we move through space, these celestial constellations, they're also moving. So they're not always in the same position when you look up, unless you have cycles. So by the time that star constellation comes back around every so X amount of thousands of years, it's back in position, it's going to be in position for 2,000-3,000 years. Let's start building so we can align this thing properly. So when they looked at time, they didn't look at time how we looked at time.
No.
They looked at time in cycles, which consisted of thousands of years. So when you look at our history, it goes in cycles. And each cycles, there's things that are occurring within those cycles that are helping us evolve from our fall. Now, I say that to say, if you ask me the question, how do we win in the end, and what does winning look like? Winning looks ugly.
Mm.
It looks ugly.
Ugly.
Yes.
Explain.
Yeah, this is some shit.
And this is a part of the thing that most people of color don't want to entertain. But in order for you to give birth, and you guys are moms giving birth, and the pain that comes along with that, all the challenges that come along with that, the discomfort that comes along with that, to give birth to something new. Keep in mind, it was fun and pleasurable creating, but to give birth to it, you're going to have to make room for what you're giving birth to. So before the baby gets here, you got to buy clothes, you got to find a room, you got to get a crib, you got to move shit around, you got to make sure this is right before they get here, blah, blah. You got to do all this preparation.
Even internally.
And exactly, things are being broken down to make room for a whole human being inside of you. Mm-hmm. This is on the microcosmic level. The macrocosmic level, when you look at the universe and what it's doing the same exact thing because it's about to give birth to something. Mm-hmm. Thus, you have everything that's going on right now. It's making room. Mm-hmm. And in so, it is also destroying things. Persons, places, and things are being destroyed. Things are being deleted from the system as we speak, because something is going to give birth to. Now, here's my whole take on what's being birthed. I don't see us as melanated beings doing something we've already done, because then that's de-evolution. Evolution doesn't go in reverse. It's always moving forward.
Right.
So wherever we're going, it's going to be a new thing that we've never done before. Make sense?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
We're not going back into an old house to fix it up to live in it.
Right.
We've already been at the top of the pyramid. We've already been the rulers of this and that, and created this and that, and had the gold and Mansa Musa with all the money and all the stories, all the royalty that we throw around. And we throw around the word royalty a lot. Mm-hmm. We've been there, done that, and we got the t-shirt. There's no reason for evolution to go in reverse for us to do that again.
Saying it that way, I guess it makes sense. So okay, go ahead.
So, the universe is giving birth to something new. And in order for you to be a part of that new birth, there's things within our beings right now that has been going on for the X amount of hundreds of years. Thus, you have, when people talk about indigo children and different souls that are coming here that are advanced and stuff like that, it's been sending back advanced individuals for this very time. See, when I ask the question and people give answers based on immediate things,
right?
You got to understand that this process has been going on way before we got here.
Right.
We just landed in the mix when we did. But the bottom line is, it was already set in motion. Once we fell, the process of getting back to where we're headed was set in motion. Mm-hmm. People of color don't think this way because they don't have a macrocosmic view of life.
No.
They have a good job, good home, who's going to be the next black whatever. That's far as it goes. And us coming together and working together, that's where it is. They don't realize that we've already been together. We've already had kingdoms. We've already had, civilizations that were in power for thousands of years before they fell. We've done it. Black people need to come together, work together, and stop hating on each other. We've done it.
So
go ahead.
So you saying it's going to be a new thing.
A new thing.
A new thing.
A new thing.
And you saying it's going to be ugly. Is that the whole process?
Well, I didn't explain the ugly part yet.
Oh, okay. That's what I was going to ask.
No, I didn't explain the ugly part
yet.
Okay,
that's what I was going to ask.
But we're evolving to a space where we've never been before. That's why A lot of our scholars always talked about us, whoever's in a body and alive during this time, we're going to bear witness to things to that have never been bear witness before. This is the first time we're at this juncture in our evolution. How happy it is to be here right now. We're watching it in real time, and we us on this panel are only gonna go but so far on this journey,
Right.
and then our children and whoever comes after us, they'll pick up and continue it on. But we're moving towards something that has never been done before. It's an evolutionary jump, physically and spiritually. Now, the reason why I say it's going to be ugly is because before you can put something new, you have to destroy the old.
Right.
And when I say destruction, I don't mean destruction, just the destruction of the mind, of destroying the old ideology based on how people think. I'm talking about entire civilizations being wiped. Because you can't have remnants of a system in place that is not permitting the species of man to be totally free and think you're free. The system has to be uprooted. The universe, Mother Nature, God, whatever label you want to put on that, it's coming to uproot all of this. So we got to survive the birthing pains of what's being birthed out of this. You can't have a new thing in the middle of the old thing. You can't totally be free in a system that still exists, but okay, yeah, it has my face on it now. But I don't own the system. I don't even run the system. I'm working in it. The system got to go. And you're talking about something that is really deep rooted throughout the planet. Take white supremacy, for instance. People say, well, police officers, they do some very bad things. They need more training, right? I throw it out there. They need more training. How do you train out a psychology of hate? How do you train that out?
You can't.
You can't.
A lot of it, and some of it is ingrown in their lifestyle and their uproot and their growing.
Their upbringing, their lifestyle, their genealogy. It's in their very DNA.
It's already embedded in them.
So how do you win when you have species of people on planet Earth that are not, let's just say, spiritually along the lines of how things should be righteously? You can't vote them out. You can't, pray them away. You can't reason with that. It has to run its course. You know what gets rid of stuff like that? Mother Nature.
Purge.
So now does it make sense when I say it's going to be ugly?
Yes, but it's going to be ugly. That's a process. But what do you see the end as?
What do I see the end as?
Yeah. Because it getting ugly is part of that process. But the end, what does that look like? What to you, what does that look like?
What does it look like? If we survive, and I hate to talk gloom and doom, if we survive, you ever watch those movies where something catastrophic happens and then people have to figure out a way to move forward?
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of what the first phase of that thing looks like. The second phase of that thing looks like that the entities that incarnate to this planet, whether it be our children's children, whomever, they will be advanced to a point where they're now going to be responsible for rebuilding. With that rebuilding, you get the new civilization. You get a civilization that is void of a matrix, a control matrix.
Mm-hmm.
Now things look really free, but that's scary because there's no one coming to save you if something goes bad. You have to micromanage yourself. You have to micromanage your family. You have to make, you're now living by means of how you were intended to live. And that's scary because we've been on the titty of the matrix for so long. We don't know how to deal with the fact that if something happens, you can't pick up a phone and call someone to say, I need some help. You won't be able to do that until the new thing is built. And I'm talking physically, spiritually, something totally different. Because as this ascension thing, kind of kicks up, you got to understand that the vibration as we know it is changing. And as the earth changes its vibration, everything on earth has to change in its vibration in order to stay on earth. And if you can't raise your vibration, then it's like fleas. You kind of get just kind of plucked off because you can't handle where the earth is going. And here's where your religious folk talk about the new heaven and the new earth. Well, the new earth is the rebuilding of the civilization in 3D. 4D is a totally another dimension where those entities who are able to raise their vibration high enough, they'll be on another timeline. Whole nother reality.
Now you say it's scary
According to the writings. According to the writings, this is how it's supposed to split. Thus, they have the concept of people getting left behind and some people ascending. Mm-hmm. This is how you get that. The ascension thing is just a raise in vibration. And when you raise the vibration of the place you exist, everything around you changes. Because we're in 3D right now, third density.
Right.
When you go to 4 or 5 density, if you can exist in 4 and 5, I will pop out of existence if I was in the 4th dimension. I will pop out of existence if I was in the 5th dimension, living in the 4th dimension. Everybody who's still vibrating on 3D, on the 3rd dimension, will still be here. It's a matter of going to sleep and waking up one day and you're in a totally different vibration.
Right.
And everybody that you thought was supposed to be around you, they just kind of slowly just fade. This is what the writings say. We've never been here before. This is new. So we're just embarking on a journey where everybody can't go, not because they've been bad, they just haven't did the work to evolve, to make the leap. Some of them will still be here to pick up the pieces to get this shit together. So that's how I see the end of the cycle. When you see the words end of the world in the Bible, because the Bible is revealed in 2 books. The first book is Aramaic and the second book is Greek. So when you see the word world, it translates as age. So it's the end of the age, not the world. It's just we're going from one age to the next. And that's all we're doing. And then that new age that we're in currently of Aquarius is what they call the age of enlightenment, the age of information, the age of Christ consciousness. What does Christ mean? It means savior. It's a title. It's not a person, but it's a title. Krishna was a Christ. Buddha was a Christ. Anybody who comes in and saves you, you be in a ditch and you need help, that's your personal Christ. Thus you have the term, my personal Lord and what?
Savior. Mm-hmm.
Savior. Christ is a title. It's not a person.
That's crazy. I was just watching something or looking at something about that whole spiel you just gave. So yeah, okay. It's funny how that happens to be the intertwined topic of discussion, and it's just like a confirmation to me, I guess.
So when you look at the age of Aquarius, they call that the age of Christ consciousness. What does that translate as? Savior consciousness is now embarking upon the earth, which means Now is the time for you. There is no excuse. There is no excuse now for you not to get your shit together whatsoever at all. You have complete access to everything. So either you're going to consciously and willingly make the leap, or you've made the decision that, you know what, this is not for me. I'll pick this up when I come back. And that's fine. That's why it's not a good and bad thing. It's an evolutionary thing. So everybody hasn't evolved where you are.
Right.
So everybody can't, go where you're going. So we got work to do. But the end is near. And that's not a scary thing, but we're making a transition from one point to the next. So when I titled the show The Return to Royalty, I'm saying we fell from royalty and we went through this process, kind of like you making a diamond and pressure for thousands of years. We went through so much that we had to go through as a people to perfect this thing. By the time we got to the end of the cycle, you'll be ready. If you're chosen, you'll be ready. And it's been going on for a long time. This is why the controls and the people who are in control are scrambling so hard to maintain control right now, because everything that they've thrown out there in the recent 3 to 4 years, people have poked holes in it. It's fell apart. They can't maintain it fast enough.
Right.
And that's the whole thing of this, the dimensions breaking down.
So my whole view and perspective was just based on my time here, pretty much.
Right.
Right.
Right. So I don't think, in my own opinion, I don't think, well, I'll save that. I'll save that. But yeah, we do win.
David, why?
Why you say? Why
you said we do win?
We do win, but
what's
it's
winning?
not.
I want to hear your perspective of winning. What's winning?
I wouldn't use the term win. I just use it for sake of conversation.
Okay, so what term
would I use?
Yes. And why?
I think based on the teachings, we are exactly where we're supposed to be. It's not a winning. It's this was written. This is a part of the process. I don't see let's say the evil ones are trying their best to create technology to go into different timelines and change things. This is where they're at with it now. They won't be able to completely succeed in that. But I won't use the term win. I use the term completion. Because Earth is a type 1 civilization. We're not a type 2 civilization. Type 2 civilizations are planets that, they're utilizing. Before I answer this question, imagine all the technology that the handlers have confiscated over hundreds of years of people who have come up with technology to free us from, like petroleum, free energy and stuff like that. And they come and they confiscate it and get rid of these people because they're trying to keep our development and our growth stunted. Now imagine if they weren't able to block any of these things. We're talking hundreds, if not thousands, of technologies and inventions that people have pulled from the unseen realm into physicality and created these masterful pieces of machinery and technology. Imagine if they were never able to block that, where we would be on this earth right now. We wouldn't even be putting gas in our cars right now.
Right.
They had technology where cars can run on water.
Yeah.
They got rid of that because they got to keep us on some level of control of working for something we need to function in society. You got to put gas in your car, and they're going to charge us for that and make money off our labor for it. But there's so many things that have been created to free us from that. So our evolution on this planet has been stunted a little bit. So with that being said, we're still a type 1 civilization. We're not a type 2 civilization. The fact that we are still wondering if extraterrestrials exist, we're still type 1. Type
Right.
2 civilizations don't ponder if ETs exist. Type 2 civilizations have utilized their technology to interface with off-world beings. That's a norm. That's not a norm for us. We still trying to figure out if it's true, and they're hiding this and they're putting little, they're still playing games with that. But we haven't got to the point where off-world entities are an everyday household thing. We can actually talk with them and have conversations, and they're here and they're sharing shit and we sharing shit. We don't even have a friendship or relationship with off-world beings in the average, just the human population. Now maybe our government does and hiding it from us, but we don't.
We do.
So we're still behind the 8 ball according to them. So that's why this this whole evolutionary thing with the planet has to take place.
So you said
right.
you wouldn't use the term winning, use
No.
completion.
Completion.
Why do you feel that though?
Why do I feel it's a completion?
Mm-hmm.
If you look at just the basic mechanics of evolution, how things evolve, everything reaches a completed state. And once you reach a completed state, you have to change from that thing to something else.
Yeah.
That's just basic physics.
Okay.
Even if you look at what they call death, the word in itself is kind of a misnomer, because we really shouldn't, even if we use the word, the definition that they've attached to it is wrong. But when you look at what they call death, it should just be an evolutionary jump. That's all. Of somebody leaving 3D and going to a higher vibration.
Right, like 5D or something.
Does that mean that they don't exist anymore? No. And even our great scientists, they know that shit, but they want to keep us. You have to keep these things going because of religion.
Right.
Once you start dismantling that, then religion, as we know it, starts to crumble and fall. And they can't allow us to really, have definitive proof throughout the populace that death doesn't exist. It's just a transition, and we all do it. We took on avatars to come here, and these avatars are, they work, but they're a little flimsy. You can tear them and rip them, and things go. It's like your car. Like, you got to change spark plugs and, change the fluid on this. It gets raggedy after a while. But the being driving the machine is not the body. We got to put this shit on to come here.
Right.
But they don't give us a full relationship with our life outside of these bodies. And if we had a full relationship with that, death, as we know it, couldn't even be used as a tool to control people. As I told y'all on another show,
that's true.
The controllers of Earth only use one thing to control people, and that's their fear of death.
Mm-hmm.
If we had the full, complete understanding and relationship with life outside of these bodies, what in the world could they do to us that we would comply with, that we didn't like? What? Because the worst that they can do to you is what? Kill you? You're gonna kill me, man. I like it here. I want to go home right now.
Right.
Okay, fine. I'll go home. I'll come back. Y'all will see me again talking shit on the way out.
Right. I'll be back.
Yeah. But we don't have that relationship due to religion. Religion took our concept and our relationship with these things, and they gave to us what they felt we needed to know to keep us kind of, docile and controlled and fearful.
And I was just going to ask, like, why do you think so many people are afraid of death?
Because of what we've been taught.
Right. That you just answered it. Like, yeah, you just answered it.
Even that is going out the window soon. Yep. Because once we start to continue with the technology, physical technology and spiritual technology, as it gets to a point of perfecting itself, it's going to be like picking up a phone and having a conversation with somebody on the other dimension. And once we get to that point, everything else y'all talking about, y'all can get the hell out of here with that. It's going to be no more. It's going to be no more.
You think
And
we'll make it to see that?
I think it's here now. It's just not popular. People are still afraid and scared. Because you got to understand, people on the other side of this dimension are on a higher frequency. When you're talking about communication, you're talking about tuning into that frequency.
Right.
You can tune into that frequency with technology, like EVP.
Right.
There's technology that we have where we can actually create these radios where you can actually tune in onto frequencies.
Right.
And you can hear people on the other side talking.
Mm-hmm.
We have the technology. It's just, it's taboo because people are still in the minds of religion. And they're like, I don't want to mess with that. I'm scared and ooh. And I get it. That's programming. Take, for instance, Ouija boards. Ouija boards got a bad rap due to Hollywood and religion. But nobody never really asked the question, who actually created them?
Mm-hmm.
Ouija boards were created by the Moors. It's
That's
a divination.
You damn right. Nobody ever asked who created the board.
We created it. And it was a divination tool to communicate to the other side. But you can't have stuff like that and have religion because you're not supposed to have access to the other side. You're supposed to come through the church,
right,
to get permission to get whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And anything that's giving you access to the other side is going to be demonized.
Yep.
So, any questions before we conclude?
No, I think I'm done with my questions.
So
I think I'm done with my questions. I think so. I had one, I lost it, but yeah, I think I'm.
What about you, Tasha? You good?
Yeah, no, I was like, so are we on top? So we're not on top, right?
You said, are we on top?
Right.
Dre wants to leave a level of mystery in the completion.
I mean, theoretically, we are. We got to play out the part. We have to play the part. You know how you ever heard the term from the religious folk where they say, the battle's already been fought, God has already won, the devil's lost. That's a real thing.
Mm-hmm.
But we got to go through the motions and we got to go the whole process of how it, how it all unfolds, because you'll fuck up the whole thing to just,
Right.
But yeah, we've already won. And I hate to see people always talking about how bad things are as if there's not two sides to reality, or a yin and a yang, or a positive and a negative, or a God and a devil, or up and a down, or a light and a dark. People talk as if that doesn't exist. So when people are always giving you scary and negative stuff, as if there's no hope, they're giving you a biased, fear porn type of breakdown of something. Because if there are bad guys who want to control this and that and kill off people, blah, 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 there are good guys working to counteract that. You better believe that. That's just the universe.
Right.
Opposite.
So
yeah, opposite. And nothing in life can exist without the opposite.
Exactly. So there are people who are here, there are entities who are here, who come here to whip ass and make sure we stay on our path. And then you got those who are working against that. It's a war. It's a battle.
Yeah.
And one can't defeat the other, but they just keep the momentum going till we get to the what? completion. It's the catalyst. That battle is the catalyst.
Mhm.
So we win or we complete our cycle. And we complete our cycle, we go on. It's the slinky thing. You know the slinky thing, right, Joe?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, as you make a revolution around the circle, once you get to the point where you started, it bumps up a
Bumps
level.
up.
And then you go around again, and then when you get to where you started again, it bumps up another level. It's like a slinky. So once we complete our cycle, it's natural for us to get bumped up to another level or another dimension. So we can't stay here.
Yeah.
We weren't designed to stay here.
Right.
Complete our mission and go.
No. So we got work to do. That's not to say you shouldn't have fun and enjoy life. No, that's not what that means. That means that you have to have a holistic approach to what you do. Look at all aspects of what it is you're doing, spiritually, mentally, and physically, and incorporate them all, and then you'll be fine. That's it.
All right.
I have a question.
What's up?
You said look at all aspects of what you do.
Right.
Never mind. Yeah,
Go ahead.
never mind. No,
Ask the question.
no.
Why? Go ahead.
Yeah, like, okay, look at all aspects of what you do. What about the never mind, because I'm technically going to answer my own question. It just,
let's hear your answer then.
No, I was going to say, what about the people that, like, you have to have a holistic approach or whatever have you, but what about the people that feel like they do have a holistic approach and their holistic approach is totally opposite of what a holistic
So it sounds like to me you're talking about people who think they have a holistic approach when really they don't.
Right.
What about them?
Yeah, I was saying what about them, but I mean, technically, in the end, I mean, I guess they would be the people picking up the pieces here.
If you're still in a body, yeah.
Yeah. So that's
If
why I
you're
said
still-
I technically would be answering my own
Yeah,
question.
if you're still in a body, then you'll have work to do. And that's not a bad thing. It's all good. And I know a lot of
Yeah, it's
people don't
like
want to hear that,
graduating. It's like
but they don't
going
want to
to
hear that it's all good when they say, well, there's police brutality and all this other stuff going on in the world. That's a microcosmic view of what the handlers want you to focus on.
It's a
But
distraction.
even and it's hard to say this, but even in the most heinous of shit that goes on, it's still all good because the universe uses everything. It doesn't waste anything. It utilizes everything to propel forward. Somebody
It's
got to
kind of
get hit
like,
by a car at an
oh,
intersection for a speed bump to be put there for the greater good of everybody.
right.
Mhm.
And I was going to say, it's kind of like when you take a test. You take a test, you fail it, but you have the opportunity to come back and take that test again, like, or go through that whatever
Not just taking the test.
until you get it right.
Yeah.
Not just taking the test again, but you failing gave you an opportunity to put eyes on the test and know what you're going into and prepared you better now that
Right.
you have a reference.
Right.
So it's still good. So, any more questions?
I think that's it for me.
Sure?
I tried to play devil's advocate.
You should play devil's advocate because you should look at it from another lens. And it's healthy to play devil's advocate because my thing is this: never believe what people tell you.
Right.
Never believe what I tell you. Your job is to take the information because that's all it is. Take it, and you have to prove to yourself if it's true to you. It's just information.
Right.
But you have to make it a truth to you. Because anybody saying, well, I got the truth. Well, I'm gonna bring you the truth. Be weary, because that's still a relative perspective of what, the information actually says. So you should be open. You should really be open to all aspects of information. And when you're open to all aspects of information, I call it the sitting on the egg thing, where you take information and you sit on it like an egg. And eventually, when it comes back around to you and validates itself to you, it'll hatch into that aha moment. It's like, oh, okay, that's what that meant. Now it makes sense. That's why I don't discard anything, no matter how outlandish it may sound. I take it in. That doesn't mean I'm gonna, take it for face value to validate to say, yeah, that's true. I have to do my homework, and sometimes things speak to your spirit. And when they speak to your spirit, you ain't got to do all that, extra stuff. It resonates.
Right.
Kind of like with the whole, jabby thing.
Yeah.
In your spirit, if you feel something's off, you're at the crossroads. You got to make a decision.
Mm-hmm.
Do you listen to you, or do you override that and go with the herd? And that's the battle between God and the devil, the true battle within. The thing is, are you listening to God within you?
Right.
That's the true test.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you forsake that, then whatever comes down the pipe, it is what it is. But you can never say God did not intervene. And then you got psychopaths who don't have that. They don't have that rationale of, right and wrong. They're like Jason Voorhees and Michael Myers. They're like just operating on just one thing and one thing alone. Kill, 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 kill. They don't feel no type of way about it. There's no remorse. There's no conscience. There's nothing. Psychopaths are dangerous.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
But anyway, I believe that's it. I think the show was pretty good. So we're gonna go ahead and shut it down. Thank you guys for showing up. Pot got out of here. He had bad audio. We'll figure it out though.
I got frustrated.
But appreciate you guys. And I'm gonna go ahead and run the outro credits, and I see y'all on the other side.
Mm-hmm.
Bye.